Jeremy Mitchell, thank you for being here, man, and teach us your ways, because you are crushing.
I appreciate that, Colin. Thanks for having me on as a guest, guys. I'm honored to be here. You know, I wasn't the top guy at Leaf Filter. Let's not get twisted. But I was. You know, what's funny is the way that Leaf Filter kind of stacked their reps. It was all based on stats and statistics. And I don't know about you, but like I don't pay my bills in closing ratio. Right? I don't pay my bills in net volume per issue or anything, those stats. I pay my bills on the income. And I was proud to say that I was the number 7 income earner year to date at Leaf Filter. To give you some perspective, Leaf Filter is the largest home improvement company in North America. They're a $2 billion a year company with over 2,000 sales reps. And I was number 7 in the company in income. Now, I wasn't number 7 in the company in stats, and I only ran 433 leads compared to some of the other guys that ran 600 or 800 leads. But when you take my revenue like per lead or my actual commission per lead, I was probably number 3 in the company from what somebody did stats when they checked it after I left. I did end up, I made $200,000 by the $200,000 billion with a B. There you go. That's the company. So, by the way, we're going to talk about this. Part of the reason why Leaf Filter was able to grow as a small gutter screen company out of a garage of Matt Collig and grow into a $2 billion a year company at the largest home improvement company in North America in under 20 years is because they had systems in place, specifically sales systems, which is why we're talking today. So what he did was he used to work for Erie Construction, and he took that closing sequence that he took from Erie Construction and he applied it to the home improvement for his company. And before you know it, he turned that company from just out of his garage. He was selling more in his garage than they were sitting on shelves at home improvement companies, supply stores like ABC and stuff. He was out selling them nationwide, just one guy out of his office. Hey, Colin, do me a favor and mute everybody, please.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So I had earned $200,000 in commissions by July, by the end of July. So I was on pace to do, if you took that math, 200,000 divided by 7, and then times that by 12, I was on pace to do 340 by the end of the year. And when's our busiest time of year? It's fall, pretty much, right? So I was probably on pace to do almost 400,000, and then I ended up leaving the company a month later. I'm big in personal development. I have a couple of mentors that I've paid big money to. Tony Robbins, I'm a platinum partner with him, paid $85,000 to join his mastermind. And, it's another 50 to 60,000 in travel. I've paid 25,000 to Andy Elliott, be in his inner circle. Jeremy Miners, another big sales trainer, paid another 35,000 to join him. So I'm real big on what you guys have done by taking Colin, what he knows, and applying that so that, because it's not like the podcast I did with Andy Elliott, he said, it's not what you pay to know what that man knows. It's what you, it's what you, thank you, muted me too. It's not what you paid to get to, it's what you learn from him that you don't know. That's what you pay for. All right. So anyways, we'll talk more about that. If you guys want the podcast link, by the way, send me a message afterwards. I can send you a link to the Andy Elliott podcast. I've been interviewed on Jeremy Miner's podcast and also now Colin DeHaan. All right. I'm proud to say that. Best-selling author with Addicted to Bliss. I was a co-author on that. And then I founded a sales trading company when I left Leaf Filter called Sales Pride. We're going to get right into that. So my first question I want to ask to you guys is, what is your biggest challenge in sales or in closing? I had a conversation with Colin about this a little bit, but I'd like to hear from you guys. By the way, any Office fans in the room?
Yeah. Hey guys, unmute yourself, and I want to hear some of these. I know Brendan, you've brought some to me. Everybody else, piggyback off that.
What's your biggest challenge in selling or closing?
The biggest challenge is that we have very reputable companies that are leaving bids that are, 60%, less than half of ours.
Okay.
And we are a bit of a newer company ourselves. We've been in business over a year now.
Right.
You know, and yeah, and we're not pushy in sales either. We're not, sign now before I leave or anything.
Yep. Yep. Okay, good. I like how you said pushy. Let me ask you this, because I think that pretty much encapsulates what people's usually their biggest challenge is being pushy when it comes to sales. Right. So when I went to a Grant Cardone seminar back in 2011, he asked the same question, and everybody pretty much said the same answer. They said, "Hey, I don't want to be viewed as being pushy." And so here's the thing, guys: 80% of success is psychology, 20% is mechanics. So I can give you like the golden tablet of like the perfect word track on what to say, but you can still screw it up if your mindset's screwed up. Okay. So when Colin asked me to come on here and speak, he specifically asked me to speak about the mindset of sales and how to ask those tough questions. Those questions aren't tough. All right. The questions are easy if you have these three things. I want you to write this down. All right. Number one, do you believe that your product is the best product on the market? Do you believe that your product solves the customer's problems better than any other product on the market? And you got to be real with yourself, because like it says in the Bible, the truth will set you what? Free, right? The truth will set you free. So you have to ask yourself the truth. Number one, do I feel like my product is the best product, will absolutely solve this person's problems better than any other product? Number two, do I feel like my company, and a lot of you guys are solopreneurs or just starting off with entrepreneurs, do I feel that my company will do the best job standing behind this product and I'll honor the warranties, I'll honor the workmanship, I will stand behind this better than any other company? Okay. Number three, do I feel personally that if they call me, that I will deliver world-class service to them better than anybody else can do? If you believe in those three things, then you're doing the homeowner a disservice by not being a little bit pushy, by pushing them into the direction that serves their interests best. Not yours, but their interests. You're doing them a disservice. And so when I heard this saying, right, for the men out there, as masculine energy, we like to protect people. We like to provide people. It's hardwired in our DNA. We like to go hunt, go get a kill, and bring it back to the tribe. Okay? And if we feel like we're going into this appointment with the right mindset, that I'm going into this to serve this person at their highest self, and if they're too scared to make a decision, then if they're like teetering on the fence, we cannot be scared to push them in the direction that they need to go, that's in their best interest. That was a light bulb aha paradigm shift for me. And it likened me to an analogy. Let's pretend we all went out to a bar, all right? And we were all drinking. We had one or two drinks. And let's say who doesn't really drink, but let's just say I'm a lightweight. I drink way too much. I shouldn't be driving. Would any of y'all be willing to just be like, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I'm just going to let him go ahead and drive home and possibly kill himself or kill someone else in a car wreck? Like, you know what I'm saying? So if you're too afraid that I'm going to think you're an asshole because you were pushy, because you tried to take my keys from me when I felt like I was perfectly capable of driving, that's the prospect's position. They need gutters. They need gutter screens. If you're not willing to push them into making the best decision you feel that's in their best interest, then they could go down the street to one of these other companies. They might get an inferior product. They might get inferior customer support. They might get inferior service from the rep, or worse yet, get ripped off. And I felt like I took that personally, and I took that as like a responsibility. It's my responsibility to take care of these clients. All right. So that's my philosophy and my mindset with Grant Cardone when I went to his closing seminar. And before that, I struggled to make like $2 or $3 grand a month. And after that, my sales career really started taking off. All right. So one thing I learned is that sales isn't about doing a masterful presentation. Hey, Andrew, I'm glad this is going to help you out big time, brother. See, this is where I say 80% of success is psychology, 20% is mechanics. Have I told you how to sell yet? If you just go into it with the right mindset, this is going to be huge. I've already dropped a couple of gems. Going into it with the prospect's best interest in mind, going in with the service heart. Okay. So, and then going in with their best interest. Here's the thing, guys. If you really truly don't believe that your product is the best, or if you don't feel like your company is going to serve them better than this other reputable company that is right down the street, I don't care what the price is. If you feel like you're not going to offer them good service, then you might as well just get out of the business. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. When that clicked in my mind, I was like, no, F that. I'm going to take care of these people, right? I'm going to take pride in this. And so then I felt like it was okay for me to be pushy, because here's the thing. If you're afraid of being pushy, you're a people pleaser. You're more concerned about what this prospect, their perspective of you is, than you are about solving their problem. So you're either selfish or you're a people pleaser. You're afraid of confrontation. You're afraid of pushing them into the direction that's in their best interest, or you're more concerned about what they think about you. Thank you, Christian. Appreciate it. All right. So see why I'm talking about my mindset shifts here. So the other thing I learned about sales at that Cardone seminar is that you can do this masterful presentation. You can do this great inspection, great intro. You can follow all the steps and check all the boxes. But that's not selling. If you don't get a signature on the dotted line and collect a check, you did not accomplish anything. I'll tell you a story. When I was just starting off in sales, I had an uncle who won the National Toyota Walk-Around competition in like 92 or something like that. And he was like the best salesman I ever knew in my life growing up. And I reconnected with him after my dad died. I used to call him Uncle Dan, but he was really my dad's best friend. And he started a sales organization that sold software to funeral homes. And we would go to funeral homes before Facebook Live, before you could just broadcast something live. He started a software company where you could broadcast a funeral live over the internet, right, to these funeral homes for people that couldn't attend the funeral for whatever reason, family, health, income, whatever. And he basically took me under his wing, and he taught me everything he knew in sales. And he goes, Jeremy, you're dangerous now. I've taught you everything I know. He said, but you're like a little lion cub. You like learned how to like stalk your prey, you know? You've like learned how to like pounce on them, and then you like play with them like a cat plays with the mouse. And then you don't go for the kill. You don't go for the jugular. If you don't go for the kill, if you don't go for the close, if you don't close, you did not sell. So if you're afraid of being pushy, you may have done a great presentation and then they go down the street for 60% less and might get ripped off. Okay. Here's another thing while we're talking about that topic. You have to get your actually, we'll talk about that later. Don't let me forget that. I'm a little ADD. All right, here we go. So that closing is what selling truly is. Like you can forget about everything else up to the end, but if you don't close, you did not sell. Because the likelihood of them calling you back is probably slim to none. Am I right? Okay. So why not go ahead and just give it all out. If they're not going to call you back anyways, they're not going to buy from you anyways. What's the risk of pissing them off? If it's really truly in their best interest, not in your own best interest. Okay? Psychology over mechanics. Okay. Number 2, telling isn't selling. Telling isn't selling. So if right now, I'm doing a public speaking engagement for you guys. So this is different. But if you're going out to a customer's home, you're telling them about how great your company is and how great your product is and how great or inferior the competition is. And you're telling. The prospect's always going to wonder in the back of their mind if you're telling the truth. So how do you get the prospect to tell their truth? And go ahead and open this up, unmute everybody. How do you get the prospect to tell you their truth? If telling isn't selling, and maybe you can just put it in the chat.
Ask questions, don't make
Absolutely.
statements.
Absolutely. So anytime I want to make a statement, thank you, Dustin. Anytime I want to make a statement, I always think to myself, how can I phrase this into the form of a question that specifically will lead my prospect into saying what I wanted to say? How do I ask this in a question? So this leads me to my next point, is this. When we're talking about objections, and this is what I was remembering to talk about earlier, we have to get prospects to think about the objections. Every time you get an objection, you need to write that down. Because usually, tell me if I'm wrong, but do you get the majority of your objections after you've given them the price? Okay. So if you're getting the majority of your objections at the end when you are giving them the price, what you're doing is you're allowing, instead of killing Godzilla when it's a little baby, you're letting it fester and grow up until it's a full-grown monster tearing apart the city. You want to kill the objections early. So if you get an objection at the end, how can you ask a question that gets the prospect to answer that question earlier on in the conversation before it becomes a full-grown monster at the end, tearing apart the city like Godzilla? So, for example, I forget what the name of the person who brought this up, but they said, they're going with these other companies that are reputable, they're 60% less than them. So I might want to say to them earlier on in the conversation, so before you had us out here, have you been out there looking to get other quotes to kind of get an idea of how much this might cost you? I want you to pay attention to something. It's not just what I said. Before you called me out here, have you been out there looking for other companies to give you quotes so that you have an idea on how much this is going to cost you? I didn't say it like that. That's what I said. That's not how I said it. I want you to also pay attention to how I said it. I'm going to say it again, so pay close attention. So before you called me out here, have you been out there looking at other companies just to kind of get an idea of how much this might cost you? Now I want you to, Colin, I want you to unmute everybody. I want people to give me feedback on what they heard the first time versus the second time. The first time meaning, the first time I said it, and the second time I said it when I told you what I said, not how I said it, or maybe the third time. Voice affliction, tonality, right? So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So what you'll also notice is there's pacing. Notice how I pause during certain points when I'm talking to you. What do those little pauses do? Those pauses allow you time for your brain to process things. So as I'm talking, I'm not just trying to talk to you like I'm Hitler on a stage and giving these nice little brief pauses in between here. because I'm not talking on a PA system, right? Sincerity, yes. We'll talk about that here in a minute, Mark. Thank you. So what I'm doing is when I'm asking these questions, I'm saying, and I'm using a tonality of curiosity. So before you had us out here, pause, have you been, pause, like out there looking at other options to kind of get an idea of like how much this might cost you? Notice my body language, notice my facial expressions, notice my tonality, notice the pacing. Okay. I learned all this from a mentor of mine, Jeremy Miner. Did a podcast with him. He also interviewed me in his Facebook group. Like I said, if you want the links to that, get with me, or I can send them to Colin, and Colin mail them. Actually, get with me specifically. All right. So again, telling isn't selling. It's asking the questions that get the prospect to answer what you want to say, because you want to find out if they're getting other quotes. Then if they are getting other quotes, you might want to ask them, okay, well, so, I mean, that company's a fairly decent company. Go ahead, mute Dustin if you could get called, or mute everybody or whatever. So that company's a fairly decent company. I guess, like, what stopped you from doing business with them? Now, I'm not going to say anything disparaging about another company, but if I say, yeah, they're a fairly decent company, like, can you see how that kind of like plants a seed of doubt in the back of their mind? Like, oh, I thought this was a reputable company. He said fairly decent. I wonder what he knows that I don't know. All right. So, and then what stopped you from doing business with them? You know, so then you're starting to basically have a conversation with people. Okay. Number 3. So we talked about number 1 is that, you know, the mindset shift of not being afraid to be pushy if it's in the prospect's best interest. Number 2, we learned that, you know, closing is ultimately what selling is all about. It doesn't matter what you do. If you did a kickoff return, you caught the kickoff return and you're bobbing and weaving and you're following all the blockers and you got daylight and you're running and then you trip and fall down at the 5-yard line. Did you score a touchdown or did you just have a 95 yard kickoff return? What happens if you fumble the ball at the end zone? Like, you see people that drop the ball, they didn't cross over the end zone, but they dropped the ball back here a yard short. They think they got a touchdown, but they really didn't. That's what closing is like. You have to be able to close to get the business. Number 3, telling isn't selling. Asking questions that get the prospect to open up about your number 1, your most commonly occurring objections. How can I frame these questions that get the prospect to answer in the way I want them to answer? Number 4 is killing those objections before they come up. Find a way to come without telling them. And then the 5th one I'm going to talk to you about. This is probably one of the key things that gets that took Matt Collig's company from out of his garage, like a lot of you probably are right now, to being the largest home improvement company in North America, over 200 offices worldwide. I say that because they're in Canada as well. North America, I think they're opening an office in Australia soon. All right. And and a $2 billion a year company. It's by following a sequence. So I'm going to give you like step like A, like 1A of the closing sequence. And it basically goes like this. It's a pre-close. And this is kind of what I went over with Colin. So let's say you did this wonderful inspection. You built great rapport. You did a marvelous presentation, everything great. And you're getting right to the moment of truth. You just caught this kickoff. You followed your blockers. You've got daylight in front of you, and all you have to do is close. And now it's time to go from presentation to price. How do you do a smooth transition from presentation over to talking about the hard topics like Colin wanted me to talk about, which is price? And this is called a pre-close. Some people might call this a temperature check. Basically, dip your toe in the water. Let's see if we're ready to go. So it sounds like this. Well, Colin, that's pretty much everything I have to go over with you. Before I get going, do you have any other like questions or concerns before I talk to you about price?
No, just really curious what the price is.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So let me ask you, just to make sure, do you like everything we've gone over so far?
Yeah, I think it all makes a lot of sense.
Okay, when you say it makes sense, how do you mean by that?
I think how the product works makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
Doing 6-inch over 5-inch.
Yeah, for sure.
How you explain that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And why I need gutters, right?
For sure.
Okay. Where you're gonna put the downspouts and to avoid certain areas for me makes sense.
Yep. Okay. And as far as like specifically about the gutter protection, like what part, when you said something about that, can you be more specific about the actual gutter protection and why you feel like that's like why that's the best fit for you?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to have to clean my gutters. All right.
Of course.
But also, I've read a lot of things online where like these meshes and gutter covers get clogged, and a lot of times it seems to be like gutter cleaners who are saying, "Hey, don't put gutter guards on your house."
Right.
But
it's certain kind of gutter screens do still get clogged. So it's kind of like we talked about earlier. All right, is like, what's the point of putting any money into a gutter screen if it like doesn't do what it's supposed to do, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right. So correct me if I'm wrong, like, but it sounds like this is the way you want to go. Like, if not now, then sometime in the future. Am I reading you right, or am I way off base?
Yeah, no, you're right on.
Perfect. All right, good. So what we do is we give you a price that's good for a year, and then I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money by considering getting started on it sooner rather than later. Because like, whether it's the total price of the job that's affordable, or maybe like a low monthly payment that fits in the budget, if it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to get started on it if it's affordable?
No, I think getting this taken care of is smart.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to pause here for just a minute. I want you to unmute everybody, and I want to hear the crowd applause, like if I was in an auditorium. If you just give me a boo if you didn't like it, but unmute everybody. Like, give me some. And that was all. We get some boos. People didn't like that. Just talk.
That was great.
All right. Thank you. So that's the pre-close. That's how you smoothly transition. And notice how I asked a lot of questions. I said, let's break this down for you, by the way. So what I said was, okay, so Colin, that's pretty much everything I have to go over with you. One of the things you have to always be doing is you have to always be diffusing and disarming, like decreasing the tension in the room. So that's pretty much everything I had to go over with you, Colin. Did you have any other questions or concerns? Because if they have questions or concerns, don't you want to kind of address that now before it's Godzilla tearing apart the city? Right? Okay. Questions, concerns? No. Okay. Now I'm going to take a page out of Chris Voss's book. If you don't know who he is, he's a former FBI hostage negotiator. And he wrote the book, Never Split the Difference. He has sales training called Black Swan Group. And he talks about accusation audits, labeling, and like asking no-based questions. And so like an accusation audit is like, hey, I know nobody likes salespeople. So earlier on in my conversation, one of the things I'll say is look, there's no perfect gutter protection system out there. Like every product has its pros and cons, just like mine. Like, but there's a reason why so many people in our area choose us. I'll go over that with you later. But like, if you're looking for the perfect gutter protection product, like you might as well stop looking and just give up because it doesn't exist. I like to tell people that to diffuse them. I'll tell them that in the first 5 minutes of my conversation with them. What does that do about their impression of me? Probably says that maybe this guy's honest, right? Here's another thing. If I upplay myself, human behavior is to want to downplay me. So if Colin said, this guy's the number one salesperson at Leak Filter, he's awesome, blah, blah, blah. All right. You're going to be like, who the fuck is this guy? Excuse my language. Sorry. Who the hell is this guy? You might bleep that out. Right. All right. But if I say, look, I wasn't the number one guy, I was only number 7 out of like 2,000 sales reps. If I downplay myself, you're going to be like, holy cow, he was number 7 out of 2,000 sales reps. That's really good. So if I downplay myself, the customer's going to want to upplay me. All right. So if I say that's pretty much everything I have to go over with you, do you have any questions or concerns? Okay. Now correct me if I'm wrong. People love to correct you. This is what I'm talking about, downplaying. If I upplay, people want to correct you. So if I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like that's a label. It sounds like, my impression is what it sounds like based on everything you're telling me. Okay. This is something you want to do. If not now, diffuse. If not now, then maybe sometime in the future. Am I right? Or did I read you right? Or am I way off base? No, you're not way off base. See, they're correcting me. No, that it just comes down to money. Perfect. So since it's not a matter, I may have forgotten this part. Since it's not a matter of if you want to do this, but more like when and maybe if it's affordable, what we do is we give you a price that's good for a year. I forgot that little part. Sorry about that. I'm a little rusty. So since it's not a matter of if, but when, what we do is we give you a price that's good for a year. So there's really no pressure. Again, diffusing. And then I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money by considering getting started on this project sooner rather than later. Do prices go up over time? Yes. Will they save money if they buy it sooner rather than later? Yes. So I didn't say today, I said sooner rather than later. And unlike the company that I came from, they would say, I'm going to show you how you can save a lot of money. Okay. If I say a lot, people are going to downplay me. So I'm going to say, I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money. Whoa, $1,500 on a $10,000 project. I don't know about you, Jeremy, but that's a lot of money to me. Yeah, but it's not that much. It's only 15%. It's only a little bit. It's not enough to like pressure you into making a decision today. It's only like if you really want to do it, like if you're going to do it sooner rather than later, save a little bit of money. $1,500. It's not that big a deal. Okay. So since it's not a matter of if, but when, what we do is we give you a price that's good for a year. And then I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money by considering getting started on it, considering getting started on this sooner rather than later. Because whether it's the total price, I put my hand up high, that's affordable. If $10,000 is affordable and you can stroke a check for 10 grand, great. But if it's not affordable, if we have to do a low monthly payment that fits in your budget, do you guys have options to do low monthly payments? I would hope so. If you don't, you get on that, maybe a credit card payment, right? If it's affordable, I start the phrase, if it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to get started on this sooner rather than later if it's affordable? So I start with the sentence and I end the sentence with the word affordable. So the last thing they hear in their mind is affordable. Also, that last sentence, I'm using what Jordan Belfort, if you've ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, that's who the character is. He wrote a book, The Way of the Wolf. I would recommend getting the audiobook because Jordan Belfort actually reads it. And when he uses his tonality, it's freaking gorgeous. And you can hear his tonality. And what he does is he calls this the reasonable man tone. Like, you're reasonable, I'm reasonable, let's be reasonable together. So since it's not a matter of if you're going to do this, but when, I'm going to give you a price that's good for a year, and then I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money by considering getting started on it sooner rather than later. Because whether it's the total price or a low monthly payment that fits in the budget, reasonable man tone really coming into key here. If it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to get started on it if it's affordable? Now it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, and then it's why you're saying it. So the reason why we're asking this question is because it's a smooth transition from your masterful presentation over to letting them know that we're about to talk about something serious here, and I'm going to ask you for your business today. You don't have to do it today, but if I've covered all the bases and if everything you're telling me is correct, I'm going to move forward with this. Also, another thing you may have noticed when I asked Colin, do you feel like this is, I didn't say, do you think this is the answer for you? I said, do you feel? Human beings make decisions out of emotion, and then they justify it with logic. Do you feel like this is the answer for you? Yeah, I do. Well, why do you feel that way? Well, because of this, and this. Okay, what specifically about the gutter screen do you feel makes it a good fit for you, Colin? Remember when I asked that? We don't want to just get happy ears as salespeople. We want them to clarify and use their own words. Rather than me saying why we're the best, I want them to say why we're the best. That's pretty much everything I have to go over with you today, Colin. Do you like everything we've talked about here? Yeah, I do. Well, what do you like the best? What do you feel like? Do you feel like this is the answer for you? Yeah, I do. Why do you say that though? Well, because 6-inch gutters and the gutter screen and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And what is it about the gutter screen specifically that you like the best? Okay. All right. That makes sense. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like this is something you want to do eventually. If not now, then sometime in the future. Am I right or am I way off base? No, yeah, you're right. Okay. So since it's not a matter of if you want to do it, but when, and maybe like if it's affordable, what we do is we give you a price that's good for a year. And then I'm going to show you how you can save a little bit of money by considering getting started on it sooner rather than later. Because like whether it's the total price or maybe a low monthly payment that fits in your budget, if it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to get started on it if it's affordable? Questions?
None. I have a lot to soak in.
It is a lot. So here I'm going to tell you something, Brendan. I learned this from my mentor, Tony Robbins, and this was the inspiration that made me start this company. He said, if you want to master any skill, there's only 3 pillars you need to master. I want you to write this down. These are the 3 pillars of mastery. If you want to master sales, it's a skill. If you want to master jiu-jitsu, it's a skill. If you want to join the NBA and be the best 3-point shooter or whatever, it's a skill. If you want to master any skill, there's only 3 pillars you need to master or you need to do. Number 1 is find someone who has the results that you want and who is the best at what they do and has the results specifically that has outstanding results that you want, and model what they have done. This is why you guys hired Colin. You are modeling what has already been proven. He has the results that you want. Model someone, find someone that has outstanding results and the best in the industry and model them. All right? This is why I hired Jeremy Miner, why I still hire to this day sales coaches. The coach I'm currently with right now, I'm paying $3,500 a month to him. That's his current pricing. I have Andy Elliott. I'm in his inner circle. That was $25,000 up front, plus $1,000 a month. So that'll end up being like $37,000. I hired Tony Robbins. That's $85,000. Look how much money and this is in the last year, by the way. Look how much money I've invested in the last year in my personal growth and development because I want to master these skills. I hire the best. This is why people hire me for sales training, specifically for gutters and gutter screens. It's just for the sales training at Leaf Filter, right? All right. Number 1, modeling. Number 2 is total immersion. If you want to learn a language, Tony uses this example all the time, you can go buy a subscription to Babbel, or you can go move to France and be surrounded by the French language and learn French. Okay? Total immersion. When you go to these Tony Robbins events, it's not like 9 to 5 with like a 2-hour lunch break. It's like we were standing outside in line at like 7 a.m. We'd go till 3 a.m. at Date with Destiny. Like if you ever watch his Netflix documentary called I Am Not Your Guru, you'll see I'm not BSing you here. They're going till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're coming in at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're on 4 hours of sleep. It's ridiculous. But you're totally immersed in the environment for like 4 or 5 days, 6 days, depending on the events. Okay, totally immersed. If I were to give you sales training and I had 6 videos, you could watch 1 video a week over 6 weeks, or you could watch 1 video a day for 6 days, take a day off on the 7th, and over 6 weeks, watch the same video 6 times. Which one do you think is going to give you better retention and better mastery?
Option 2.
Option 2, right? Total immersion. And then number 3 is spaced repetition, right? You don't just go to the gym one time and just get ripped like me. You have to go to the gym spaced out over time. Okay. So spaced repetition, it takes time. You know, I know some of you, I think you have a guarantee that, hey, you're going to make 100,000 in the next 6 months or whatever. You know, sometimes it takes you a little time. What if it took you 12 months? Would you be mad if you made 200 grand in 12 months?
No.
All right. So those are the 3 pillars of mastery. All right. So just to recap here for everybody, remember, if you don't get to kill, you're like a little baby lion cub playing with his prey that you let him get away. If he gets away, you don't eat. If you're a hunter and you're being dependent upon to bring back the animal, so if you don't bring back the kill, the tribe starves, right? You got to bring back the kill. Go for the kill or you don't eat. This is why I formed the company I did called Sales Pride. Because I wanted to create a community, a group of lions that learn how to eat what they kill. They're not just little baby birds with their mouths open, waiting for mama bird to spit a bunch of regurgitated meal, a worm in my mouth. I want to create a community of lions that go out and hunt and kill and bring back what they kill. All right. Number 2 is what's a group of lions called? It's a pride, right? Pride, right? That's a wolf pack. It's different, right? And then number 3 is I want you to have pride being in sales. The reason why you're afraid of being seen as being pushy is because you don't want to be viewed as a normal salesperson. Here's the deal. Sales is a beautiful career. It's one of the oldest careers. You're out there, you're solving a problem for somebody. You're either solving a problem or meeting an emotional need for someone. How would that, do our therapists like thought poorly of? They're solving people's like mental and emotional problems. You guys are solving a problem. You're protecting their homes. You're keeping them off of a ladder. You're saving lives one gutter screen at a time. All right. One ladder at a time. Like that's an admirable trait. Okay. So have pride that you're in sales. All right. Number 2 is, again, telling isn't selling. Ask the prospect to get the words to say, ask the question that gets the prospect to say the words. That's their truth. Because if you say it, well, you're just a sleazy salesman. But if I say it, well, it's the gospel. All right. Number 3, find your most common objections. Find a way to solve them. Kill them early. It's much easier to kill Godzilla when it's just a baby, rather than if you let it grow into a full-grown monster and it's tearing apart the city after you've laid down the price. And they go, well, it sounds good, but I'm going to have to get back to you. Let me think about it, right? And then you're having a boxing match over objection handling, okay? The smooth transition from pre-close to close. And I've got one more little goodie to give away to you guys. I think the best way to reach me is, frankly, at this point, I've got websites, but it's like too long to give you. I would just write down my cell phone number. My cell phone number is 405-274-2326. I've got a YouTube unlisted video that I think would be really good for you. And it basically shows you how to drop price, 405-274-2326. It's basically a YouTube video on how I roll out the price and how I justify the price and how I give people options, let them choose which option is the best for them, and how to make the discount seem really small so that they don't feel pressured that this was so you're saying I have to make a decision to buy now or else I lose this discount? That's how a lot of people felt when Leaf Filter would come out, that you got to buy it today or else this is going away. It's all about, it's how they're saying it. It's what they're saying. And I have a video that I'll give you as a free gift. Normally I charge $500 per video. I'll give this away as a free value. And then I'll also send you the links to the Andy Elliott podcast, the Jeremy Miner podcast, and the Jeremy Miner interview that I did when I was with Leaf Filter. And in those Jeremy Miner videos, it talks about some specific questions about how I would ask questions at Leaf Filter that would get the prospect to convince themselves rather than me selling them. All right. And that's pretty much everything I have to go over with you. Any questions?
Y'all, like, give them a hand. Holy crap. Was this good or was this good?
It's amazing.
This was awesome.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
This is awesome. This is what I want all of these calls to be like. All right. And I don't know how Jeremy found me on Instagram, but
Oh, I can tell you. You were referred to me. Noah is one of your clients out of Indianapolis, and he was talking about you, and I thought, I wonder what he does for sales training. So
right.
I thought I'd come on and talk to you, and then actually this morning I got another text from another one of your clients that I guess you were promoting it on there, promoting the interview on there. And he was like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing you." It was Mark Sanchez. I think he's in Amarillo or something like that.
Yeah, Mark's here. Yep.
Oh, there you go. So, anyways.
Yeah. No, guys, so that matters. All right. Like, if you want studs like Jeremy on these calls, share this platform, right? Share share me, share whatever, like, connect us. I want more studs like Jeremy on this call, because while I might have a gutter business figured out, Jeremy is 100 times the sales rep that I am. All right. So that is his expertise. That's where he spent all of his time. That's where he spent all of his money on paying people to teach him how to perfect this skill. Right. And that's what I want for all of you guys, is bringing professionals like him in who are way better than me. That's what business is. Right. I didn't build my business by being the best at everything in the business. No, I hired an admin who's way better at admin than me. I hired a sales rep way better at sales than me. I hired an operator way better at operating than me. All right. I just get to dream now. That's what I'm good at. So it's the same thing. Why would I try and be the best at everything in gutter launch? I'll bring Jeremy in. Right. Like, let's go.
That's just modeling, right?
That's right.
Tony Robbins talks about that concept in Business Mastery. He says there's basically like 3 positions in a company. Number 1 is the artist, right? That's the person that, like, you might call me the artist, right? I'm the one that's the sales, like, Van Gogh or whatever, right? Number 2 is the manager. I never got an opportunity to manage. I don't know why, but then when the opportunities kind of came by, it was like I kind of passed them up because I was making more money as a sales rep than I was going to make as a manager. And then, even though I was really passionate, I wanted to be able to coach people. And so then number 3 is the entrepreneur. And that's what you are, Colin. You're the entrepreneur, right? So you're working on your business rather than in your business, and you're forming systems. This is what I want everybody to also realize, is you just model what Colin's doing, because you don't want to you don't want to like fire your boss and quit your job just to be owned and bossed by your own company, right? The whole purpose of starting a company, this is key. I want you to write this down. The whole reason why you start a company is to exit it.
Right.
You start a company with an exit plan, right? You build it up to scale, and then you either hand it over to your kids, you sell it, whatever. Right now, business is growing for like a 4 to 5x multiple, this type of industry, right? Once it gets over $1 million in production, if it's under $1 million in production, it's way less than that. You have to have systems in place. But imagine if you built up a company that averaged $10 million a year and you could sell it for 40 to 50 million. Like, that's why Grant Cardone, when you see like the 10X summits for roofing and HVAC, that's what they're doing. They're saying, hey, you've been stuck at $2 million a year. 98% of businesses never make it to 10 million. Hire us and we'll get you to 10 million. All we want is a percentage of the upside. Give me 25% of the difference from 2 million to 10 million. That's 8 million. Give me 25% of that. That $8 million chunk, they take 2 million of it, and that's their plan. It's the same thing with Cardone Enterprises with their apartments, right? The whole reason why they buy an apartment is so they can sell the apartment.
Beautiful. Guys, we've got Jeremy for like 2 more minutes. So if you have any questions, now is the time. Obviously, he was gracious enough to give us his cell phone number. So not many fellows in positions like him do that. So take advantage of that. That's what I'm saying. But anybody got questions for him? I'm going to shut up. We got 2 minutes. Questions, go.
My question is, are we using the same mug?
Ah, there we go. Love it. Love it. Love it. Cheers. Hey, you're your own boss. World's best boss, right?
There you go. 100%. I just jumped into the call, so can you repeat everything for me, Jeremy?
Yeah, in 1 minute. Go back and listen to the recording. And then send me a text message, 405-274-2326 if you want some free content.
Go. Anybody else got questions? Beautiful. That's because you gave such a well thought out presentation, Jeremy. Thank you.
Probably too much information, honestly, but
It's a lot.
if you guys want me to break it down or anything like that, hit me up. Let me know how I can help.
Beautiful.
And if you want me to come on and speak again, Colin, I'd be honored.
Beautiful. I absolutely will do that. I'm sure.
Yes, please.
I will get hung if I do not do that. So
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
All righty. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, guys.
Y'all, holy smokes. Who's got like 27 pages of notes? If you don't, I put them all in the chat for you guys. So they're all in there. But guys, this came from one of y'all finding him on Instagram and be like, hey, you should talk to Colin. All right, I don't think Noah's on this call right now, but it can happen that quick. All right, he messaged me 2 weeks ago, and we just exchanged a few things back and forth, and we get studs like this on the calls. All right, I want to continue bringing professionals like that. This was super valuable. Am I right? Everybody, you all walked away with something that you're going to implement today that's going to change your business. Let me hear, like, what's the one thing you guys are going to implement today? Somebody come unmuted and tell me what you're implementing today in your business.
Having the right mindset.
Right mindset. It's huge. Who else? Did Brendan really leave? Crazy. But what else? Scott, you unmuted. What you got?
Yeah, it's just about that whole point. It was early on about believing your business, believing your quality. And because quite frankly, I'm running into people that are all price point focused, right? And so it's just a matter of selling those points that you believe in your company, you believe in what you're selling, you believe in your crew, and believe how you're going to finish it. So I just need to go and revisit that. And it actually has succeeded on a few sales where, that does resonate. I just need to do it more consistently, and especially on people that are purely price point that are looking for the $1,500 or $2,000 install.
That's it. It's so pivotal, y'all, that you are not just a people pleaser. A people pleaser doesn't get paid. All right. A people pleaser actually pisses off people. How many of you people pleasers have pissed somebody off in this life? Right? I have. All right. You're still going to piss people off, right? Except for you don't get the chance to save them the heartache. You're not going to screw this customer over, right? We're not perfect. We might mess something up. We might have a leaky corner or a leaky end cap or something, but we know we're going to go back and fix it, right? You know who's not? 50% of the other gutter companies out there, they're going to disappear. They got that close the truck door warranty, all right? Not even taillight warranty. If they get in their truck, they ain't getting back out, right? So we know that if we're not leaving the customer's house without that signature, without that deposit, there's a 50% chance that they're gonna get screwed over by the next guy. Andrew Hornick, you said something early on, like you need to hear this. That makes sense. Knowing you, the little bit that I know about you, right? You care, and sometimes, and I had this call with Scott Yastis too, right? You care so much, and you want to be so nice that you let the customers go, right? And you give them. So, yeah, Andrew, what are you today?
Definitely the missing link in the puzzle that we need to implement in our company real fast, because our closing rate is definitely not as great as it should be. That is for sure. So maybe 6 out of 10 right now, and the potential's out there. So the amount of work that's coming in lately is truly incredible. But definitely people pleaser on my end, and I'm definitely going to try to change that or work on that myself.
Beautiful. I love it, man. Even 6 out of 10 is not bad. Is not bad at all. But we can increase pricing a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, some of y'all, Mark, I'll get to you in 1 second. I see your hand raised. Thank you for that. Some of y'all, it might not pay for you to be the tech or for you to be the sales rep. All right. Some of y'all might be better suited hiring somebody like a Jeremy who wants that to be their thing. All right. That's my goal for all of you guys, right? I don't sell for my company. I've actually got a new sales rep right here, Isaac. I'm down here in North Carolina, and we're doing some sales training today, right? So he's going to be a way better sales rep than me, all right? And I firmly believe that because I hired him based on some skill sets that he already has, right? Based on his personality and his ability to do the hard things, right? And a sales rep is the easiest hire that y'all can make and the most cost-effective one. They don't get paid unless you get paid, right? It's not like you got to give them a $50,000 salary and you got to find a way to float it. No, they expect commission, all right? So that's a huge opportunity for y'all, all right? Mark, what you got, sir?
I was going to piggyback on that just a little bit, Colin. Just want to remind everybody something that he said that it is a skill set. I've been in sales for 20 years, and Jeremy and I have run around some of the same circles, been in a lot of the same groups, but it is a skill set that you can learn as long as you're willing to put the work in. And you're absolutely right. It's not for everybody. If you're going with the program, then you're going to want to hire that guy. But if you can hire somebody like Jeremy to teach them, your ROI is going to be huge. You just got to be ready. You just got to be ready for it, because they're going to start coming in, and you're going to have to do the back end of it. Be ready for all that's coming in. So just wanted to reiterate that it is a skill set that can be learned by anybody. You just have to be willing to put in the work. Right.
That's it. And you touched on something really, really big too, right? If you get a high performer like a Jeremy who goes out and he's closing 10, 15 jobs a week for you or whatever that is, you better start producing, right? We better get that second truck running. We got to do these things in order to keep, that stud racehorse out on the track making us money, right? So, beautiful. Anybody got any questions on anything that we heard today? You all have his number. He's incredible, and he's willing to give. That's a huge thing. Right on. Cool. Damon, thank you for letting me know. I didn't know you were coming to GutterCon. So let's go. Gutter Launch Live. Let's go. Anybody else that I just want to make sure I have enough of the workbooks and everything. But anybody else who hasn't emailed us and said, hey, or commented in the group that, hey, I'm coming to Gutter Launch Live. I know Andrew's going to be there. Damon, Josh, you said you were going to be there, right?
I'm actually planning on changing. I may be yours all day. I know I planned on stepping in and out, but I think I'm going to change my plans. So
Right on. Awesome. Beautiful.
I just so Sean just jumped in to Gutter Launch today. If you guys haven't welcomed Sean, and so welcome Sean. I see you with the camera off. I did not tell Sean about Gutter Launch Live.
All right. So Thursday, just a
There
quick
it is. Hey,
February 15th, y'all. Thursday, February 15th, all day long in Orlando at the Hyatt Regency Center. We are doing our first ever live event, y'all. This is it's gonna be awesome. Y'all are gonna walk away with a full game plan for 2024. We're gonna crush some limiting beliefs. We're gonna build out a marketing plan. We're gonna overcome and game plan our goals. It's gonna be a huge event. I look forward to just wowing the socks off of y'all. All right. Like full transparency, right? Like Gutter Launch is here. Gutter Launch Live is like way up here. All right. Like we're going in depth building it with y'all. It's going to be awesome. All right. We're getting super nitty gritty with it. A lot of this will get put right into Gutter Launch. Y'all see Tim Curry. He's my new videographer. He's going to be down there. We're going to be mic'd up. We're going to be videoing everything. We're going to put a ton of, goal setting and limiting belief crushing and all that fun stuff in the program. We're continuing to build Gutter Launch better. All right, y'all. I don't know Chris is still on. Chris had reached out to me and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about a couple things I think that could be added into the program to make it better. I'm all ears on that. I know Zach Kane reached out too. I don't know if he's on here, but guys, I'm all ears on making this thing better. All right. Like my only precursor to that is make sure you've gone through everything before you come to me. Right. I've had a few people come to me and be like, hey, I don't see this anywhere in here. It's like, oh, you haven't gotten to that part, right? It's right here. But go through it. And if there's something that's missing, I want to make this the best, right? Y'all are paying good money to be in Gutter Launch. I want to over deliver as much as I possibly can on anything. All right. What is in there is not the final. All right. Kayla just brought up, hey, there's no video on how you actually measure for the estimate. There's how to measure when you're installing, but how you measure for the estimate. Okay, I'm going out on an estimate today. I'm going to shoot some videos with it. All right, it'll be that simple, but we'll make it happen. All right. Beautiful. Well, cool. Gutter Launch Live is next Thursday. We'd love to see anybody who can make it there. All right, guys. It's we got a week and a half. Planning some awesome stuff again. This is going to be the event of the year. I'm shooting to be holding Gutter Launch Live twice a year. All right. This one, it will always be beginning of the year. And then we'll do one like late summer, early fall, probably. And that one will look a little bit different. All right. So the beginning of the year one is going to be all focused on building out your year. Let's go. Let's crush it. The next one, I'm still deciding on what I want it to look like, but, Shelby's going to kill me for mentioning this to y'all already, but because I don't have dates or anything picked out. And she's like, great, now we actually have to do it when you said. So, but that's how I work best. So, all righty, guys, this was awesome. I love getting studs on this call. Y'all are a bunch of studs. Thank you for being here. We had 32 people on at one point today. All right, that's the max that we've had on a weekly call. Usually we hover right around 25. So, thank y'all for participating. Got anything? Any closing thoughts, comments, questions that you guys have? Or girls? Beautiful. Love y'all. God bless.
Thank you.
Go slay the week.